Hey! Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Let me say it like you.
People no go understand my excitement yet, but let's start. Hi guys, we are back here today again. No vex. I realize that I don't even usually greet you guys before we start. So, a car, and I have an amazing person here today. You would get to know her as we proceed, but as our custom is, may I respectfully please ask that you introduce yourself?
Oh, of course, definitely. Hi, everyone. My name is Onyinyechi Ekumankama. I am a radio presenter, a television presenter, a voiceover artist, an audio producer, and an events host / compare. And it is my pleasure to be on this podcast and to see you, Emma. I'm super excited.
See as everything just flow. And that your son, when I'm talking to my wife, we talk about you every now and then. I'll just be like, Onyinyechi, come on.
You bite your tongue. Trust me, I've heard so many versions of my name since primary school till in primary school when they're doing a class attendance, I used to say present. When they say my first name, I used to say present before they reach the surname because they always used to spoil it.
So, like I said, my wife and I, we talk about you a couple of times, and that's because somehow you are just always in my thoughts, and that is why you are here today, because basically you are one of, there is this saying that there are just people you meet in your pathways in life that they just make certain marks that are indelible, and you are one of those people that just from afar, not by even necessarily doing anything directly with me, you just made an indelible mark, and I just respect, and I don't think I will ever forget about you, and I can't say, because where God is taking you to is where all of us will be seeing you, So first things first, and that is why you're here today. By the way, I try to talk about relationships, being single and getting into marriage in a way that would influence others positively, I met you when I was working in Cool FM, and you came as a very, very young girl, So yeah, normal, a lot of young girls come to radio station and everything, but you were a very pretty young girl, very attractive young girl that got a lot of attention. But you were a good young girl, like you knew what you were doing. You had so much focus for, I didn't know your age, but at that time, how old were you then?
I was 17 when I came in. 17.
Do you understand? Like, till now, when my wife was talking with you today, she still refers to you as a baby, but you had so much focus and you knew what you were going for. How did you get to that? Did they born you did they give birth to you as an adult? Do you understand? What formed you to be that kind of person?
Let me start by saying thank you so much for the kind words. I truly appreciate it. And I must say that I give God all the glory. And I'm not saying this because this is something Christians should say, because I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I believe in Jesus, and I'm not ashamed of it.
Hallelujah.
So truly, I give God all the glory for every single thing that you have said, what my life is today. And yes, so you're right. I came in at 17. I I'd worked in 2 other places before then, actually. I had my first internship when I was 12 years old. So along the line, I came to the Cool Wazobia Info family, and I was 17 at the time. And all the jobs I've had up until now even are media related. So yes, that has been in alignment. But I would say that, to speak to the question, did they born me as an adult? No, actually, I would say that I always say to people that if I were to ever write a story or a book about my life, I would title it something along the lines of The One Who God Has Favored. Because truly speaking, and I don't say this to sound cliche, truly speaking, every single step of my life up until now and forever has been orchestrated by God. So that basically speaks to what you're asking me, because at 17, younger, what did I know in life? Had I discovered myself? How was I able to come off so focused as but this is what I want? I wouldn't say that I've always had it in my back pocket. Through the natural interest and talents that I've had, I always knew that, media was something I was interested in. Funny story, I thought I would be a musician actually. So I sing. When I was in primary school, I used to represent my school in Muson competitions. Wow. So, and shout out to my school, they're amazing. My parents have been so supportive. God bless them. My parents and siblings, I have the best family. They've been extremely supportive. They've never been those, what's music, what's radio? Nah, never. They encourage me to read, yes, but they've always honed my skills and talents. So much so that even in primary school, whenever I'm singing on stage, I look into the crowd and I see my parents, I would smile, uncontrollably. So they're super supportive. So I honestly thought I'd be a musician. So
it's not too
getting
late,
into it's not too late, right? Maybe I can join your band. So, getting into we always knew, everyone at home, that media is definitely her line, and God just really orchestrated my steps through men. I'm so gifted and rich in men. God has blessed me with amazing people. You're one of them. You're part of my story at Wazobia Info. So thank you, Ma. God bless you. Thank you for everything, and he has just molded me and shaped me and moved me along these lines. And it's been my absolute pleasure to align. Maybe we'll get into more details as we talk. But,
So talking about getting into more details, well put. And it shows why you still go far, And so I want to now break down the being focused, because so at least in this Nigeria that we grew up, and from the several experiences we've been having, I would say that it's not even enough as a lady, a young, attractive lady. Being focused is not enough, And so we should now bring me to the next, form of your question. The next question I have for you. So when I say you are focused, you are actually focused in every ramification. So why I kept on insisting, why I kept on bringing up the fact that you are very beautiful, is the fact that you had a lot of attraction. Like people, you attracted a lot of people. There was one I experienced. If a senior colleague, a senior person in the entertainment industry, a big bros and all that, was even trying to make hits at you. We were, you might not remember, we were at the reception on that day. After, I'll give you the name.
Yes, please.
After she was trying to make hits at you. I just came gracefully and greeted in such a way that this guy would just be like, you felt stupid about what you were trying to do, the person felt, do you understand what I'm trying to say, and everything, So, why I said it's not enough is it's possible for a young lady to have all this focus and drive and still be distracted by, because all these people will be flashing all these things to you, and you had what, so your focus also came with values. Do you understand? And it got to a point, because when when you came, everybody then, how will be this fine girl waiting? But it got to a point where people accepted you that, okay, yeah, this girl is fine. Well, it's a no-go zone.
Exactly.
And you never exerted that with you never forced anybody, or gracefully we accepted it. Everybody accepted it gracefully, like, okay, respect this girl, so, and you were too. That's why I said when you came that if it was like, okay, you had gotten to a certain age, maybe like 28, I will know that, okay, you had experiences and you formed this yourself. You were very young. So how did those values come about?
First thing I would say is grace covered me and still covers me, and I'll get to that in a moment. But values, I definitely have to give props to my parents as well, my siblings. I'm the last of 4 children. And so, of course, growing up in that family, in that household, in that environment, obviously, that is the first initial point I had when it comes to picking up values. And so one thing my mom did, because we're all beautiful in my family, we're 3 girls. Our boy is the firstborn. He's handsome. My mom and dad, beautiful, handsome, fantastic,
Very fine person. So that you go.
So one thing my mom always did when we're younger, and even till now, to be honest, but they always told us at home, you're beautiful. To the girls, my brother, you're handsome. They told us they complimented us. They said lovely things to us. They didn't shy away from it. And as I grew older, I understood. My mom even had the conversation with me one time that, she's not just saying this for my head to swell or just because, she's my mom, but, also so that these things, so that if you hear it outside, somebody cannot use it to do you like this. You already know, not with pride, of course, no, all humility, but just so you know your worth, you know your value, and nobody can say, wow, I'm beautiful, really? I've never heard this before. And then the person maybe can now see that and take that insecurity or that vulnerability and take advantage of it. So thank God that was already established in place. And so coming to the details of grace covering me. So yes, I'm that girl who, thank God, God bless you, all glory to God. There's a particular comedian who had a show with us at the time. So today, I think he probably still cracks a joke when he sees me. He's like, if you want to toast to you, carry Bible, play dumb when, And I laughed, but I loved that, people perceived me that way. So like you said, initially, people would come, and yes, a lot of guys, even way older than, because I was 17. I was not even legal if I'm looking at it in that sense. But even whether I was legal or not, I was 17. There are a lot of people who were not near my age who still tried to make moves, and try to have conversations with me and express their interest. Some of them I could tell you just see fresh fish. You know, when in new environment, you're in a new environment, someone
So you were
comes.
not ignorant of those things.
That's the thing. No, I wasn't. Thank God. You know. So and over the years, I even reinforced it because whenever new people came, other new people came, I would see it replay itself. I'm like, thank God I didn't fall victim to this. And there were some that maybe were actually genuine as well, but I was just not in the place to accept such an invitation, and I thank God for that. So I say grace covered me because, like you said, eventually everybody saw this is who this girl is and they accepted it. So even when we're playing, we all had a very fantastic relationship in the office, very fun, amazing people. We would laugh, we would crack jokes, but when it comes to me, they say, no, we don't do this. No, Jesus girl, you know, this and that. And I was never ashamed of it. I actually love that is my brand. And so that's what I mean by grace covered me, because when you have that, it automatically sieves the kind of things and people that come to you. So even without you, maybe, I'm sure there are a lot of people that didn't even get to me eventually. Maybe they just said it and someone said, don't even bother. Don't even think about it. And it never got to me. So you see, that automatically sieves the kinds of people, attention, and even offers and jobs that come my way. As a media person, people have different things that they want me to do. And not that it's bad, but it's just not my brand. It's not what I don't endorse it. Doesn't align with my values. And so I don't even have to talk too much. Some people already know. They already just know not to approach me. Yeah.
And I think and another answer that was within your question, within the lines of your question that I got loudly was the fact that, when Paul said, I am not ashamed of the gospel, I think that's actually that answered my question, because you literally actually carried your belief. You carried Christ on your head. You were and you are a Christ ambassador.
Yeah.
And what that did for you, is everybody now, so it was like even the ones that had lustful desires, everything changed to love. Like, these are
genuine love.
Do you understand?
Honestly, yes.
Like even to the point of protecting. Don't go there. All those,
exactly. Literally. Like, so I became that girl that leave that girl. Don't even go near. So it turned to more or less like a big brother, big sister type of thing. Someone even used to jokingly say, "I'm waiting for you to turn 18, I'll be 21." I could turn 18 and 21, not there, because it had just changed from lustful interest to I just genuinely like this girl. That kind of thing.
And so this could be for somebody out there and everything, because this is, I don't know how to express it again, but this is like a fine girl. And nowadays, most fine girls, when you get to that age, it's almost as if, okay, you have this thing, you have it going, and you have something that you can use to exchange for another thing, but it doesn't always have to be like that. You can still be fine and graceful and accepted and loved, because what that now allowed was for you to focus on being able to express yourself, and even give you a good working environment, and made you become, and you are still becoming.
Exactly.
You are my family. See, when the first day I spoke about you with my wife, I can't remember, to now realize that she said she loves you. So you are like our favorite. Like you are like a daughter that does not live with us.
I'm so excited. I'll soon come. I'll take up that offer.
So yeah.
Thank
so
you.
But let's now take it back to more, if I can say, relativity, things that we can relate with.
Okay.
What was your relationship life like? When were you dating? When did you start dating? And what was that experience? What made you realize that you needed to date or something,
Funnily enough, I had my first boyfriend when I was in secondary school, actually. Very interesting.
How old were you?
I said I got in secondary school at 10. So maybe I was somewhere around that line, I mean, I remember in primary school before then, he wasn't my boyfriend, but someone gave me, I think it was a sweet, and said, he liked me. And I went home, I showed my mom, like, see, this boy gave me this. I still remember his name. No, that's just a fun story. But like my very first boyfriend, even now, that word boyfriend, girlfriend, we've bastardized it so much. I cringe when I say it, but it was in secondary school. Nothing serious, of course, because what did we know at the time? I was in year 7, I think, just 1, and he was in year 8, which is just 2. So yeah, ahead of me. So in my mind, I say, senior boy. But I realize now that, of course, it was just out of naivety, because I feel like I just wanted to have a boyfriend, maybe to go with the trend. I don't know, but it just seemed like, I've gotten to this stage in my life. Again, I look back, I'm like, what did I know? But we're learning. So yeah, I had a boyfriend at that age. But I mean, if we're talking about serious relationships, you probably wouldn't count secondary school relationships, right? Because again, you were really immature, didn't know much. But yeah, I have had a few, not too many, a few boyfriends in the past. So yeah.
Yeah. So when was the first serious one?
I would think that when I was in my SS3, I would think that particular relationship was serious, because it was even in a different school. I felt very committed. I felt very focused on my life. And funny enough, I've always been the girl that never really dated for pleasure, especially, I mean, minus the just one story. Even then, I feel like I thought I was doing something serious. So I've always been that girl who dates with a purpose, dates with marriage in mind. And the truth is that at those points in my life, those people, I honestly saw myself getting. I'm like, okay, this is possible. Not that it has to happen, but just getting into a relationship with purpose and focus. That okay, if I can't see myself settling down with you, then there's no point. So if I did date someone, I could see that possibility. But again, that doesn't mean that it had to happen. And now, of course, with growth, with more maturity, I see the defaults in those decisions I made. Not that they were bad people. It's just, the readiness, maturity, understanding actually what relationships were and what they entailed. But let's fast forward to
but let me dwell on that for a bit. So the first serious one in SS3, for instance. So still going back, at the time it was still, you did it in a responsible way. So it was still like a responsible decision. Yeah. So it was not like a peer pressure thingy or
not necessarily. Maybe, who knows, maybe there was an underlying peer pressure because SS3, everyone around you is probably in the same, so that's why I said I would think, because in my mind I was serious at the time that this is probably a relationship, and it lasted for a minute, actually, for a while, maybe over a year, but then it was very long distance. We hardly ever saw each other, so there was that aspect. But I don't even want to count secondary school relationships. Let me think to after secondary school. Who did I date first after secondary school? I'm trying to remember the timelines, but
I'm so sorry, we'll still get to that. So if you were to give an advice now, do you think do you see any positivity coming out of a relationship in secondary school?
No.
So
I wouldn't say blanket no. I would say most of the time no, because we hear of and probably know just very, very rare cases where it actually started in secondary school and it ended up in marriage, a good marriage. But even in those cases, you still find that there was some form of separation or breaking up along the line. Before they got to where they are now and they were able to make a proper relationship and marriage work out of that. So I would say no, just solely because we're still very young at that stage, still emotionally immature. Again, maturity doesn't always have to do with age. A lot of people are more mature than they are, their age and the otherwise. So, but largely, generally speaking, you're still very young. You don't necessarily understand the commitment that goes into a serious decision like that. You don't necessarily have the resources to make it work. And when I say resources, I don't even mean money alone. Money is one of them, but definitely not the only thing.
You need to pass your WAEC.
The emotional capacity, the emotional capacity is a lot. So you need to, that's your focus, to be honest. Get that foundation right. And trust me, you have the rest of your life for that to discover that aspect of you. So I would say no, I wouldn't really advise it.
So let's now come to when relationship started.
Funny enough, I can't, for the life of me, probably because I'm on the spot, I can't remember.
But that guy that a lot of guys were jealous of. They were. No. So the point was, when I say jealous, and they used to play about it with you, the fact that when they realized, because first of all, the thing was like, Jesus girl. When people now found out, you have a boyfriend, So, playfully they will be like, if I catch this guy, so now this guy, that kind of.
Yes,
so
okay, yeah.
Was that guy, because everybody knew about the guy, and that's another thing I think about you that I kind of appreciated, So in fact, it almost makes me think that maybe all your relationships, even you talk to your mom about it or something, like you, because a lot of you carried it, so it wasn't like something
I was hiding. Yeah,
it wasn't like you were. So was that the first guy, or there was someone before?
I'm thinking about the time that will be going if I have to think about it, and I promise you, it's not so much. People are like, hey, this one you have to think is this long. No, it's not so much.
So that means, because there's also this saying about. Especially with ladies, that first relationship, is always the strongest. There was always an indelible impression.
I would definitely not say that is the strongest relationship I've ever been in. I'm in a relationship right now, a very fantastic relationship.
The one that we are going to come to
the
MC
best
your wedding
one.
by the grace of God. So let me change the question.
So before we get there,
what's at least the biggest relationship you can remember that you were in, that you are not in anymore, that was like the strongest for you? Because and again, so all the relationships you were in, what was the out? Was it like they served you breakfast or you left?
I was definitely served breakfast. I think this particular one you speak of my brother. But you see, it's good because all things work together for our good, because that wasn't the relationship. So it was great that it ended when it did, so that, it could make way for me and for him to find his person and for me to find my own person. So, in every situation, just take out the lessons that come from it. But yeah, if I remember correctly, the particular person that everyone knew about, particularly production, because we're a very tight-knit family in that production unit. And yes, you were like my egbons in that department. So yes, you knew about the person, and yes, that one, actually served me breakfast, and it was very shocking because it came from nowhere. Everything was going well, Emma. Everything was going well. All of a sudden.
What was the reason for the breakfast? If you can just dwell on that.
So okay, so let me pick up from where I left off. Everything was going well, and then all of a sudden, for lack of a better word, I would say he ghosted me. So from talking every day to not talking at all, or once in a while we talk and it seemed as though maybe I was forcing it, or just obviously things were not the same, and nothing happened. So what's really shocking, like, Kilode, what happened? I remember speaking to people at the office. Everyone had their different ideas and thoughts, but eventually, when we're able to speak, because I just wanted closure, I just wanted to understand what happened. I was just like, what actually went wrong? So eventually, when we're able to have that conversation, basically, I guess, which was an explanation someone had. I guess for him it was shocking, and he didn't realize how, I don't know, maybe he was surprised, this thing is going well, and he was afraid, and he just hands off. So he was like, literally, he was like that there was no explanation, nothing happened. It's not like he met somebody else, nothing like that. He just, I think, for lack of a better word, and then he said he did the coward's thing, which was if you don't know what to say, don't say anything at all. And it was just shocking. I said, okay, at least I had that conversation and moved on. And, he even it was just funny, but thank God I've moved on from that. And I believe he has moved on as well. Yeah.
And what was I believe that there was a big heartbreak. You felt so what was that process like? What was, how did it affect you? How did it affect your life at that point?
It was just a lot of, it was painful, of course, because this was, something that was going well. I guess the shock too. If something is gradually deteriorating, I guess maybe you can see that it's headed somewhere, but it was literally just like, people going through rehab would say cold turkey. So it literally just, was a big shock. So there was that shock, that pain. And there were times when I thought, I was okay. Like, okay, time has passed. I think I'm fine. But then I'd see something or remember something and realize, I'm actually not fully there yet. But eventually I was fine. And so much fine now to the point that, there's no hard feelings. But I noticed that even afterwards, I think the person now tried to maintained a friendship. I was just not, that ship had sailed. Again, no hard feelings. If I see any opportunity, if you need my help, fantastic, no hard feelings. But that ship had just sailed. So it was really painful time.
What got you to that point of being fine? Was there anything you intentionally did? Were there any advices you took? Because I'm sure as we are talking now, I'm sure that there are at least like 250,696 people
so specific
that are going through heartbreaks right now. And they're like, no, I don't want to wake up tomorrow,
I definitely spoke to people. So like I said earlier, I'm blessed with men. I have really fantastic mentors, big sisters, a lot of whom I met at the Cool Wazobia Info Family. Am I allowed to mention names?
Yeah,
so
sure.
Ayomare Essay is one of them as well. I spoke with her about it. I spoke to people, about it, and I gave myself time as well, because I think time, for some certain wounds, maybe not all, time actually does heal, because like I said, I'm perfectly fine now. Thank God for that. And I think it was just time. I couldn't necessarily fast forward that process. Thank God I had work to distract myself positively in. I say positively because you don't want to resort to negative distractions just to get yourself out of somewhere, and then you now find yourself in a deeper problem. So I had work to positively distract myself of people at work. They used to help me to don't worry, we'll yabbing for me, things like that. We'll just laugh about in the office.
We had left,
as in
like me and Tola. If to say me and Tola,
Ginger, even Tyra was like, how's this? My Onye, who did this to my Onye? So there was that. So it was really time. I obviously also prayed about it, so that really helped as well. And
so what I will pick out of that is to treat heartbreak. First of all, allow yourself to express. Do not hide it. A lot of people also, like you just go on that walk and one time you will just break down. You don't even know what to do, But as you are doing that, don't do it alone,
Exactly.
Reach out to people and everything.
Exactly.
Then it will pass its course.
Definitely.
Was there any point in your time, in your life then, or at any point in your life so far that, when you were single, but you just felt like, this feeling that God went.
Definitely, there are times where I felt like that, but as I think of it now, I don't think there was ever a time where I was like, oh God, I want a relationship right now. No, not necessarily, but there were times where, maybe only when I actually liked somebody, I would just be like, God, when would this one happen? But I don't think that naturally we all see beautiful love stories and like, God, when, but never was there really a time where it was a huge weight on me, like, God, I want this so bad. No, I've never been that place.
When you get married, do you think you would look back and you'd be like, I I should have my single life. I don't think I explored it well enough. Or do you think you explored your single? Because so Ayo was here actually, and she mentioned something about when she's giving advice to single people that make sure you take your time, enjoy yourself. Not irresponsibly. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that when you leave this phase, when you are married, that there's nothing there.
Yes.
Even for the single people, you can take yourself out. All those kind of things. So what would you say you did intentionally, or you are doing intentionally to even this phase, even as you are in a relationship, you still have your own time to yourself. You are not fully married now. What are the things that you think you have put in place, or you are putting in place, such that you know that I've explored this my time well, and I'm moving on when the time comes? If you understand the question.
Absolutely, I do. And I've had, like I said, I is a big sister, so we've had that conversation as well. It's something that she says a lot to as many who need to hear. It's just enjoy your singlehood, live it fully, so that you don't feel like you missed out on anything when you're married, which I definitely agree with. And I don't think that I would feel like I missed out on anything. Again, because I think I'm a different person from the typical person. I would digress just a little bit if you permit me. So again, I started working early. I had my first job as an intern when I was 12, so not full-time job, so it was not illegal. I was an intern, so it's okay. But so I started working early. As of now, right now when we're recording this, I have a little over 10 years of work experience at the moment in media. So, that means I started really early, and I'm super grateful to God for that. I don't regret that in any way. And there was a lady I met along the line who worked with us actually. And she said she would just look at me some days with pity and be like, this girl, I feel like you're missing out on your childhood. I feel like you should be in a club. That's where your mates are. And never for once, I didn't even go back to sit down and think. I was like, is she right? I never felt that way. Never. Till today, till tomorrow, I'll never feel that way, because I was genuinely happy where I was. I was happy that, if anything, I was, my life was moving faster, not necessarily in comparison to anyone else, but, just the typical, even with school. So I did primary school, secondary school. I worked for 5 years, then went to university. So it wasn't school, university, then work. So I did 5 years work, then went to university, and I've been working and schooling, alongside. And I have absolutely no regrets for that decision, because again, it made me more focused. It helped me to understand what to say yes to, what to say no to. My course and my job career, they go hand in hand, so beautiful. And there was just that maturity. So I have absolutely no regrets. I never felt like, oh yes, I should be. Nah, that was not my life. And interesting, when I speak to my friends and my course mates or my mates from secondary school, they're envying my life. They're like, girl, look at you working without school, without your degree, all of that. So let me come back to the point. So I say that to say that I think that I am different. I'm unique. Everyone is, but yeah, this is my story. So again, I'm not the kind of person who feels like, oh, I should have dated as many as people as possible, done this and that. Like you said, not irresponsibly. However, I have lived, or I'm living, a full single life. I do take myself out every once in a while. I go out with friends. I have time to focus on me, because I can't remember who I learned this from, but when you marry, your time is split between you and your partner. Then you begin to have children, and your time continues to be split even more and more and more. So never would there really be a time where I have this much time on my hands like this for myself. So I've really embraced that. I'm getting to learn myself, which is what being in a purposeful relationship right now has taught me, the importance of the self-discovery, knowing myself. So to anyone who's single out there, I would say that that's one thing you should definitely do with your singlehood. Discover yourself, discover who you are. Introduce yourself to you, love yourself, take yourself out, know what you like, know what you don't like, accept who you are, accept your flaws, and work on them, So that's one thing that I'm doing, I'm learning, I'm still doing. It's a lifetime journey, and I would advise anyone else to do. So in summary, definitely I don't think I would regret anything, because I'm having a fantastic single life.
And I fully endorse that advice, because that would even, you want to say something?
Yes, and I want to say something. Sorry for cutting
No problem.
And also, one of the most important things people say about being single is your time with God, because again, this is that time where you can afford to switch off your phone, lock yourself up in one place for 1 week straight, and it's just you and God.
You do that,
When you're married, I haven't done it that intense. I haven't done that intense, but it's something I can decide to do right now. But when you're married, you may not be able to do it like that, because even God recognizes marriages. So you have a duty to your spouse, you have a duty to your children, and you cannot use God as an excuse. So while you have time for God, you need to make time for your family as well. So when you are single, a lot of people have said this, it's the time where you can actually, literally, God has all your attention. So maximize that as much as possible while you can.
When you are single is when you have the most time in the world. You will never have that much time again,
Exactly.
And so I was going to say, I endorse that message when she was saying advice to young people, to get to know yourself, take yourself out, because it's only when you know yourself that you know who is good for you, that you will be able to make that decision,
Exactly.
And so now getting to that, obviously you are happy, radiant. Anytime, the few times you've had to mention about that you're in a relationship, you are,
Oh, thank God.
the joy has been just so showing on your face, So obviously, you are so happy in the new relationship you are. By the grace of God, is going to fulfilled, getting you to your desired destination, Amen. Which we are getting to in a minute. But for the sake of trying to help other people too that might be looking or searching, we want to try to use your own story to inspire or help them. So how what were the mechanisms you put in place to choose? What did what was on your mind when obviously at that stage, based on what you had gone through, I'm sure you are like, okay, whatever next I'm entering has to be the right one, so I can't make any mistakes. So what did you put anything in place? What were you looking for? Anything? How did you choose this our present Mr. Right? I hope he's a fine boy.
Gosh, sweet boy. Absolutely very, very handsome young man. How did I choose? How did I choose? Because we men we always say, we're the one that choose the babes and everything, but if they no choose us, we no go fit choose that choose. You get? I get, absolutely. So, yeah. Again, not to sound cliche, I promise you that this is my truth and I stand by it. I think you should try it. I definitely highly recommend. I prayed about him before I agreed to anything. So in the past, so I'm a lover of love. Oh gosh, I love love. I love to see relationships, happy relationships. I love it so much. So and I feel like that's maybe not that, but for some reason, sometimes I in the past, I definitely made a lot of decisions based only on emotions, which is not necessarily a great thing. Sometimes put the hearts one side and use your head, So so for this particular one, I literally made I'm not going to get into this based on, oh yes, I feel giddy. I feel, I want to know what God is saying about this one. I really want to know what God is saying about this one. So I definitely prayed about it as well. And while I prayed, I opened my eyes too. So that's another issue that people tend to have with Christians. They feel like religion or religious people, they feel like religion blinds some people, and that's not it. The fact that you're a Christian does not mean you should not use your head. I don't subscribe to that at all. So while I prayed, I also opened my eyes. I looked around, like, do I like what I see? Not just to me, like his relationship or how he treats other people. Do I like that? Do I like how he treats me? How is our communication? How does he relate with me? When I mention this, when I bring up issues, what is his response? And of course, me too, while I was, expecting or watching, I too was also, being a great person. Not that I was pretending, but, also being myself so that we both see who, this is me or this is you. If you're doing, do. If you're not doing, don't do, that kind of thing. So definitely I would say pray about it. Oh, super important. I can't overemphasize that. And open your eyes too. If you don't like something, say it. If you see a deal breaker that you can't, just, then hands off. If you see red flags, open your eye. Don't allow it turn to pink in your eye. Let it be red and say something about it. Have a conversation. And if after that you see something that you can't deal with, it's not a do or die affair. Just,
So trying to expatiate on opening your eyes, I would want to just go deeper into that, into what did you see when you opened your eyes? And let me also break it down a little bit further. So some people we had spoken with before now, they say stuff about when you are trying to make decisions, choosing the person, there are negotiables and there are non-negotiables. Do you understand? What would you say are your non-negotiables that this thing has to be, and you found it and you understand, and you would advise other people to that? Okay, if you would take my 2 cents, at least a couple of things you might want, but if you don't get them, you can still, compromise. But these are non-negotiables that if you don't find these, if you understand what my question is.
Definitely. I mean, I would say this is one thing that we all say, but in reality, do we actually mean it and do we actually look out for it? So everybody says they want a godly man. I don't know. I guess men too say they want a godly woman, right? But I'm used to hearing women say that more. So beyond, Sunday to Sunday church or activity, also just get a glimpse of their personal relationship with God. And beyond, have that conversation. And beyond having the conversation, it's more about action. So does this person reverence God in their day-to-day life, or as much as you are able to see, in decision making, in values? do your values align? So my non-negotiables would definitely be a true Christian and have a relationship with God, a personal relationship with God. So the fact that it affects every single aspect of your life, because that's how I would see it. To beyond what you tell me, that's how I would see if truly that is how you live your life. Decision making. Then number 2 would be values. The Bible says, can two walk together unless they agree? And I think, I don't know, you're married, so you would tell me, but I don't think, even in relationships before you get to marriage, if your values don't align, setting foundational values, I don't think it can work. If the foundation is faulty, there's really no point going forward, because whatever that is built on that faulty foundation would eventually crash. It will not be steady. So your values have to align. So, I think under values, you'd have things like respect, things like just general behaviors and character. Also, I was looking out for someone who was very supportive of me, who didn't shut me down, who didn't treat me badly. Very simple. Again, you don't have to, it's not about money. It's not about sharing the most expensive. Absolutely not. In fact, put money aside, because that's a very easy way for people to distract you from the actual issue. So I learned about this concept come from one of my radio shows called Love Bombing, where a person just, he bombards, usually the man to the woman. But it goes both ways. Please don't fight me. He would, bombard the woman with gifts, expensive gifts, so much love, so much money, and almost as if clouding her vision, so she can't see what she's really getting into, because you're distracting her with all the shiny things in life. And then maybe when she gets into it, the person I learned it from, he'll say the screensaver has opened, the screen has cleared, now you can see what you're in. But at the beginning, where you were supposed to be looking properly, you were so distracted. So even money aside, money should not even be one of the things that you're using to wow anybody, in my opinion. So it's thoughtfulness, intentionality, support as well. You want to know that you're with somebody who endorses and supports your purpose in life. So not just your desires, but purpose is, because when two people come together, I think that purpose aligning is a fantastic thing. So what is your role in my purpose? What is my role in fulfilling your own purpose as well? So being a truly godly, God-fearing person, a man, values aligning, purpose aligning as well, and how you support that purpose, and how basically all these things come together. So let me leave it at those 3. I'm sure that there's so much more, but
how old are you? 80?
Not yet.
So getting to my last question, but before I get to my last question, before I forget this, you mentioned something, and I wanted to sell your market. You mentioned your radio show.
Oh yes.
So tell us about your radio show. What station? What time? So that
thank you so much. I appreciate this.
You're welcome.
Hi guys. So like I mentioned, I'm a radio and television presenter. At the moment, I'm on radio on Saturday mornings from 7 a.m. up until 12 noon. It's an entire belt of different radio shows. And on those radio shows, I host 3 out of them. The first one is from 7 to 9 a.m. It's called Relationship 360. I have a guest who comes in on the show. He's the relationship expert though, funny enough. I'm just moderating and making sure everyone has a great time and we get the most out of we can get from him. So we talk relationship issues from that 7 to 9. Then from 10 to 10:30, this is my baby, my very, very first show on radio. It's called The GX Show with Onyinyechi Ekumankama. So we discuss youth, teens, and related child-related issues. I beg your pardon, anything relating to the younger generation. So from unemployment to politics to governance to relationships as well, friendships, things like that. We talk about the whole 9 yards. And then the show from 11 to 11:30 a.m. is called The Portal. Basically, it's a partnership that Nigeria Info FM has with the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, basically just, to empower business owners in Lagos, things like that. So Nigeria Info 99.3 FM is the dial. If you're outside Nigeria, you can listen online, www.nigeriainfo.fm/Lagos, or of course download the Nigeria Info FM app. I'm also a voiceover artist, so you can reach out to me on social media. We can deliver jobs to you anywhere in the world. I record voiceovers. I've done work for a lot of fantastic clients, and I'm hoping that you'll be my next one. And I MC events as well.
Come on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
and you see why I love and respect her so much. Like, for instance, the fact that you have a 7 to 12 5-hour time on radio to yourself. It's a big deal to us that saw when she started, because she came in as an intern. Do you know, like every other person comes in, and she worked her way to the top, with and I have a similar story too, because I got in serving NYC, but I really put in my all and everything, and they said I would not go anywhere. They kept me, so I respect when I see that in a young person. I don't want to say a young lady, so that they will not say, am I saying ladies are not, But you understand, it's a big deal to have a 30 minutes, 1 hour show to yourself. But for them to trust you enough to give you a morning belt on a Saturday 7 to 12, that means you have done well.
Thank you.
You have done well.
Thank you. I was first intern to have a radio show at the station, and apparently I heard, I don't know how true, but I heard that that Saturday morning was carved out for me. I think so that I'd have that. Thank God. Wow. See, let God write your story.
All right. So final question, final series of questions or whatever. So by the grace of God, prophecy. Latest that kind next year November and I would not marry by the grace of God. So what kind of woman do you see yourself becoming as in marriage, as a married woman? Why I'm asking this is obviously you are we didn't really touch much even in your career today, but you are very, very career savvy, if I'll put it that way, and I'm sure you have a lot of plans,
Yes.
And there's this, maybe, I don't know if it's just in Nigeria, but there's this mentality everybody has that a woman that is really focused on career one thing will suffer for the other. You will not really do well in marriage and all that and everything. I know you are going to blossom.
Amen. Thank you.
What do you think that when you get married, maybe you just chill and focus on marriage? Or do you think you are going to win in, let me hear it from you.
I think that a perfect answer or a perfect illustration for your answer, for the answer I'd love to give is, I aspire to be even greater than the Proverbs 31 woman. She was a virtuous woman. She was working. She had what she was doing and she was doing excellently well at it. So, I definitely have plans by the grace of God to win on every sphere without anyone suffering. And it's easier said than done, but thank God, like you said, in the Nigerian culture, there's this popular belief, this and that, different cultures have their beliefs, but I live by the kingdom culture. And it sounds cliche, but that's the truth. I live by kingdom culture. I live by kingdom principles. And I believe that that's something that's important for that next phase, because marriage is not child's play. It's a lot of work. There's commitment at home. And as a woman, my family is very important. Even as a man, at whatever role you play, your family is super important. So of course, as a wife, as a mother, my family is super important. I would not want my family or my marriage to suffer on any level because of anything. So I'm definitely looking to thrive in the name of Jesus at home, in marriage, as a mother, and in the workplace as well. Because I still have big dreams. There's the purpose God has given me. I know that, we still have to go global even more on this media level that we're doing. And I thank God that, by the grace of God, I'm going to be doing this with someone who understands that. So nobody is, and I understand his as well. So nobody is trying to, shut anybody down or dim their light. So in summary, yes, there is definitely the vision to thrive on all sides, God willing.
And so I was going to round up with, obviously you guys talk about it because that's also going to be a good foundation. That you discussed this, you are making plans for the future with this, But as that now came to my mind, I would just want you just touch it to just maybe as a form of advice or as a form of eye opener also to people in relationships. Like, what kind of things do you guys talk about? Because back then, even maybe to the point that I got with my wife, maybe because the normal thing, you don't shop. What's your favorite color?
Have you eaten?
So let's just put it this way. What would you advise? So on the closing notice, after this, you just whatever advice you want to tell young girls, because I feel like you are in a perfect, because you've lived it and you're still living it. So a charge to young ladies, But before that, what do you think people in relationship should be talking about? People that are in a relationship going to marriage,
Talk about every single thing. And it's a very important question. Sounds funny, but it's very important because you hear stories and you're like, but what were you discussing when you were dating? Did you not talk about these things? So I would say first this question, blood type and genotype, adds that question is super important. Very, very important. So that you know that if he's not going, he's not going. Don't put yourself in heartbreak and it's to be harder when you're too deep in. So I would say from things like that to expectations in different aspects of your life. Are your love languages? How do you like to be loved? How do you like to be shown love? And then, of course, understand the person's love language as well, so that you know how to show love back as well. Your likes, your dislikes. What are your values? What's your deal breaker? What's that thing that if I did it, you're done? What's that thing? That very, very important. Talk about your families as well, your upbringing, because you're coming from two different households, and you're about to make one. So you want to know, what are we carrying from where we're coming from? What are we not carrying at all? So, these are, every single thing from what have you eaten? What do you like to eat? What do you not like to eat? What do you like? What's your favorite color? What don't you like? Are you a phone call person? Are you a WhatsApp message person? Are you this? Are you every single thing? Nothing is minute. Absolutely nothing is irrelevant, and it's very important because you need to know these things. The Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." So even in this situation, it applies. Know as much as you need to about your partner, and let your partner know as much as they need to about you as well, and just come to a place of agreement and understanding, so that you understand who this person is, you understand who you are, and you know how not to clash and how best to maximize your partnership.
And I fully agree. And by the time you have all these kind of conversations, everything flows naturally from there. Because for you to talk about all these things, then you get to the point where you actually see that you guys are talking almost every moment of every day.
And it's fruitful, productive
exactly.
talk.
And you won't have to now even be bothered about what we go talk about, because it will just be a natural phenomenon, man. That's how you get to know each other.
Yeah.
Even the way you dress, the way you sit down, you be like married counselor with all these things.
Praise the Lord. Anointing.
So the final thing, your charge to young girls,
it's harder in this day and age, in this 21st century, in this very interesting Gen Z world. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of negativity that is being glorified and that is more popular. But I would love to just encourage you to not conform to the norm. Don't be afraid to be different. Be God's kind of different. I would definitely say that, you should surrender your life to Jesus Christ, because, he's the reason I'm not perfect. Those that know me know I have my flaws. Every single person does. But, God is the one writing my story. So I would definitely say surrender your life to Jesus Christ. Super important. And just trust on him for every single decision. While you do that, just, live a life that pleases him. And just, life is beautiful. The fact that you hear negative things all around doesn't mean that that's your testimony. Choose to be different. God's kind of different. That's my charge.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank God. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy
for having you on this.
Thank
you. And I want to say also thank you for just being a great ambassador, of Christ. Thank you. I also had Giz here specifically because Giz was somebody that, as a guy, young guy that had all the attractions and he was already doing well, he didn't have sex till he got married, so these are, it's just to show people that it's actually possible, possible. And thank you for being an epitome and a living example that it's actually possible to be a decent girl and still be fine and all that and everything, And I know it's not easy, because it's not, we don't boast in ourselves, we boast in Christ. Exactly. And I pray that God will keep being your strength and showing you mercy. Amen. And I beg, send invitation when the time reaches.
Oh my gosh, maybe you'll not be a live band safe.
Let's go. Come on. Thank you. Hopefully we'll still have you here again.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Guys, see you next time.